So if you've been watching my channel since the beginning, you know that I am a big fan of the compensators from Strike Industries. I have done multiple videos on their mass driver comp. I've also done a bunch of videos on the micro comp quad and tested this out on multiple guns. And here recently I did a short video letting you know that they just released another comp, and that's what we have here, the micro threaded comp Quad V. Let's check it out. Now in that last video, which I will link down in the description below, we went over the 4 guns I wanted to test this comp on. And as you're going to see throughout this video, we had 2 guns that absolutely failed using this comp, and we had 2 guns that ran amazing with this comp, and one of them was shockingly good. And at the end of this video, you will see what this comp is going to stay on permanently in my collection. So we're going to go from the worst gun to the best gun that this comp worked on. And the Bear Creek Grizzly 101 was an absolute disaster with this comp. This pretty much turned into a single shot. Every single round that I shot through this stovepiped, which was kind of disappointing. But that goes back to what I said in the last video. This is why I like to have a universal 1/2x28 threaded comp for 9mm around, because you can test a comp out on your gun to see how it's going to work with a comp, or if it's even worth having a comp on it, and then you can buy a dedicated comp for that gun. Well, my plan was with the Grizzly is the fact, if you look at the top of the slide, we've got this nice cutout right here. Well, Aim Surplus makes ported barrels where the ports would be going right out where that cutout's at. So I wanted this comp to work because the plan was when I go to aim day, I was going to pick up a ported Glock 17 barrel, which I'm still going to do because technically this is just a Gen 3 Glock clone, and I will be able to play around with some different guide rods and springs and get that ported barrel to work. But if you are planning on putting this comp on a stock Grizzly, it's not going to work. Now the next gun that we tested the comp on was my EAA Disruptor. And this gun ran a little better than the Grizzly, but not by much. Now with this one, we were able to get 6 or 7 rounds, and then we'd either have a stovepipe or a failure to feed. But we definitely had a lot of issues with the Disruptor trying to run this comp. All right, that's something new that it just did. We got a failure to feed. Let's drop our mag. We'll drop that round. Let's try to run these out. Nope, and there we go again. Failure to feed. All right, just for the hell of it, I do have 10 rounds of 115 grain CCI Blazer loaded up. Factory ammo. This is a round that pretty much everybody uses. Let's just try it and see if it'll work. We're going to shoot that same piece of steel. Ran a little better, but we still got that failure to feed. The Micro Comp Quad V is a no-go on the Disruptor. Which kind of made me sad because I actually really like how this comp looks on the Disruptor and I really wanted this to work. This is not a super popular gun, even though it is a great gun, and there's just not a lot of aftermarket support out there. And this is where I'm going to need your help. I have a ton of handguns in my collection, and I've tried a lot of different guide rods and springs out of some other guns, and I just cannot really find anything that works with this Disruptor. So if you're watching this video and you know more about the Disruptor than me, let me know, because I would like to try playing around with some different guide rods and springs and try to get this comp to work. Now, before we move on to the next two guns that we tested this comp on, let's talk a little bit about this comp, especially for the people who didn't watch the last video. So this is what the comp looks like. Here is the other side. Now, if you notice on this side, it says 35, and a lot of people ask me questions about that. That means 35 inch-pounds. So when you put this onto your barrel, you are going to have to lock it down after you thread it on. And like I said earlier, it does have a 1/2 by 28 thread pitch. You're going to want to use a torque wrench, put it on 35 inch-pounds, and torque this down. Now here on the top of the comp is where all the magic happens. So you've got that smaller port right there in the front, and then you got that very large port right behind it. And this comp is pretty affordable and pretty much universal. You can use this on a lot of different guns, and it's got a lot of rounds through it already, and it is holding up very well. So now we're going to get into the guns that this comp ran excellent on, and the first one would be the CZ P-09 Nocturn, and this comp ran 100% flawless on this gun. All right, ran them all. We got locked back. All right, we've got 10 rounds of the 115 grain CCI Blazers loaded up. Let's see if the Nocturn will run with the CCI Blazers. Oh yeah. Ran them all. We got locked back. Now, let's talk a little bit about ammo, because we haven't discussed that. Now, we were using a lot of my reloads out there. I do have a reload that I've tailored to run with my compensated guns. I did that clear back when I comped the Taurus G3 Tactical. I bumped up my powder charge to 5 grains of CFE pistol, and it worked great across the board. With my guns that have comps, and even with my guns that don't have comps. And it just turned out to be a really good universal round to use across the board with all of my 9mm. And they ran excellent in the Nocturn. But I know a lot of people don't reload, so we brought a bunch of CCI Blazer out to the range. We used 115 grain and 124 grain. And even all the factory ammo we shot through the Nocturn ran excellent with this comp. Now, the reason this is not number 1 on the list is because, to be honest, I didn't really feel like this gun shot much different with the comp or without the comp. But that could also be because I just got this gun and I pretty much shoot all striker fired guns, unless we're talking about my double stack 1911s. And I've just had a little bit of a hard time getting used to shooting this double action, single action, hammer fired gun. I love this Nocturn, but I don't shoot it as well as I do a lot of my striker fired guns. The more time I spend with it, the better I'm getting with it. But with that being said, I'm really glad this comp worked, because Parker Mountain Machine actually makes a comp for this gun. And now that I know it will run with the Strike Industries comp, I'm definitely going to get the Parker Mountain Machine comp. Now, I did do a side-by-side comparison video, and I'm going to bring that up on the screen now, and I'm going to let you guys see what the gun shot like with the comp and without the comp. Now, we are using my reloads in this video, so the 5 grains of CFE pistol with a 125 grain Steel Valley casting bullet. I did shoot this footage in real time, and I also shot it in slow motion, so you guys can see if there really is any difference running it with the comp and without the comp. Alright, now we're going to talk about what this comp ran absolutely awesome on. And I could actually tell quite a bit of difference in the way this gun was shooting. And that is going to be on my Tisas Nightstalker. I really wanted this to work too, because I actually kind of like the way it looks on here. And it just ran flawless. Wow. Okay, that was nice. We got locked back. Let's try it again with some CCI Blazer factory ammo. Ran them all. Now, the Nightstalker, obviously a double stack 1911. This gun already shoots great. It shoots flat. But putting this comp on here made this gun shoot even better. And the same thing like with the CZ Nocturn, 0 malfunctions. This gun ran my reloads 100%, the 115 grain CCI Blazer 100%, and the 124 grain. I could definitely tell a difference in my follow-up shot, especially when we were firing 2 shots at the USPSA targets and 2 shots at the steel targets. The gun definitely felt like it had a little less muzzle rise, and I was definitely able to speed up with my shooting and stay on target with this comp. Now, was it a massive difference? No. Number one, we're talking about 9mm, which doesn't have a whole lot of recoil to begin with. And 2, we are shooting it out of a super heavy gun, being a double stack 1911. And the Tisas Nightstalker, even though I still have the factory trigger in this, it's still a pretty decent trigger. Because let's face it, even a bad 1911 trigger is still a good trigger. But I definitely felt like this comp improved the shootability of this gun. And just like I did with the CZ Nocturn, I also have a side-by-side video of shooting the Nightstalker with a comp and without a comp. And we're going to run this footage in real time, and we're also going to run it in slow-mo. So at the end of the day, do I recommend the Strike Industries Micro Comp Quad V? Absolutely. Like I said at the beginning of this video, and I said it in the last video, it's nice to have a universal comp like this sitting around or in your safe. A lot of these 9mm guns that are coming out nowadays, they all have a threaded barrel. Some people want to run them suppressed. Some people want to run them with comps. And when you have something like this, you can thread it on the barrel. Even if it doesn't look that good on the gun you're putting it on, at least you can get a feel to see what the gun is going to shoot like with the comp, or if it's even going to shoot at all with a comp. And it's not all doom and gloom. If you have a gun and you really want to run it compensated, depending on the popularity of the gun, a lot of times you can get different guide rods, different guide rod springs, different weights, and you can play around with it and fine tune it to get it shooting exactly how you want it. That's what I did with the Taurus G3 Tactical. And that gun is a whole different gun now. It shoots stupid flat. And with all the other upgrades I've done on it, it's super fast. Now, as far as what I'm going to do with this comp, this is going to permanently stay on the Nightstalker. This gun just runs amazing with this comp. I like how it looks. I know a lot of you are not going to like how it looks. And I really don't care because it's my gun and it's not yours. But I love how this shoots with it, so it's going to stay on here. And let's face it, if I get a new gun, it's got a threaded barrel, and I want to see what it runs like with a comp. Well, all I have to do is loosen up the set screw, thread this off, throw it on the other gun, take it to the range and see how it works. And if it works great, I can pick up another one and put it on that gun. But this comp is definitely going to stay on this Nightstalker from here on out. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.